Hey all, welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking channel. I am Darren, and today I'm going to do something I've never done on this channel before, and for good reason. One of the things that got really popular back a few years ago was the Starbucks Sous Vide egg bites, and that's what drove a lot of people to looking to do sous vide. I've never done them because they always seem like a big pain in the butt to me, but today with the Anova Precision Oven, we're gonna do them. I'll be right back.
Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter, sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
All right guys, we're not smoking anything today. We're cooking strictly in the Anova Precision Oven in sous vide mode, doing the actually the sous vide egg bites that are in the application for the oven. Somebody had submitted a recipe for sous vide egg bites to cook in the oven, and to me, I always was intrigued on doing the sous vide egg bites, but one of the things I didn't like was it's really hard to cook them in a water bath. You know, we either had to buy the smaller mason jars or try to figure out some way to put them in your pan and put them in a bag and cook them in the water bath. And to me, it always just seemed like a pain. I tried to do it one time and I failed miserably, and I said, look, I'm not even going to bother with this. But they seem to be still really popular. People love them, and since I got the Anova Precision Oven, it makes a lot more sense to do these in that, because I can cook it in sous vide mode with the extra steam and a lower temperature and get a really great result. Put them on a pan. I don't have to worry about bagging them or putting them in mason jars and stick them in a water bath. So that's one thing I can see. This really makes it really easy to do egg bites with the Anova Precision Oven. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to make these as Western omelet, all the same Western omelet type egg bites. I got chopped ham. I've got some onion and pepper, green pepper, that I've went ahead and sweated down in a pan. Just cooked it up a little bit to release some flavors before I put it in here. I got about a little over a half a cup of milk. We're going to do 8 eggs and some shredded cheese, combination Colby, cheddar, jack, cheese. And that's pretty much it. It's going to be a really simple recipe today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack these eggs. I got 8 eggs here, and I'm going to go ahead and crack them into my bowl. And I'm using my old baking type bowl. One of the reasons I'm using this is because it's got a little spout here on the end that I can dump the egg mixture right into the muffin tins here when I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead, crack open the eggs, get them mixed in here with the milk. We're going to add just a little bit of Fairy Blush seasoned salt from Fresh Jack's, and that's all we're going to do with seasoning. You're going to let the onion and the pepper and the cheese and the ham kind of be the main focus on it. But let me get the eggs cracked, get the milk in, and I'll show you how I'm going to whisk them up with my immersion blender and why we're going to do that. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I got my 8 eggs cracked and ready to go. I'm going to take, like I said, this is a little over a half a cup of milk, maybe 3/4 of a cup of milk. Now, the recipe in the Anova app for the Anova oven calls for 6 eggs and I believe a half a cup of heavy cream and then milk. I don't have any heavy cream, and I don't really need it to be that creamy, and so I just went ahead and used regular milk and added a couple more eggs just because I like mine a little bit more eggy and not as fluffy. I'm going to put probably about a little over a teaspoon and a half of the Fairy Blush seasoned salt. Don't really need a whole lot. The ham's kind of salty, and we got the flavor of the onions and peppers, and the cheese. Cheese is kind of salty as well, so we don't need a ton of that. I just want another little bit in there to give it a nice little salty kick. So I got my milk and eggs in here, and the reason I'm going to use my immersion blender, you don't have to. First off, you don't have to use an immersion blender, but you can. And one of the reasons why people do that, and I used to work in the restaurants when I was younger, and one of the restaurants I worked at was a breakfast restaurant, and they used the milkshake makers for their omelets. And what it does is it actually whips a lot of air into the egg, so it makes it really, really fluffy. So you don't need to do that. If you want them to be fluffy, you can use this. If you just want them to be, more eggy, more hard, you can just use a fork or a whisk or whatever you want to do. But I'm going to use the immersion blender just because that's what they kind of do in that Anova app. They like to have a lot of air whipped into them. So I don't want to make this really super fluffy, but I want to get enough air in there so I can tell a difference. So really don't need to do a whole lot of whipping here, just until they're mixed. If you want them super fluffy, you can mix them a lot more and get more air whipped into them. Whoop. Just kind of be careful with your blender so you don't get it all over the place like I just spilled a little bit. Like I said, the more fluffy you want them, the more you blend it up. But me particularly, I want them just a little fluffy, not overly fluffy. And I think that's about good for me. Just where I got a little bit of foam on the top, so I know there's a little bit of air in there, and they're going to be a little bit more fluffy than they would if they didn't have the air in it. So I'll kind of show you a close-up of that, just so you can see kind of what it looks like. Got a nice little froth on the top, and that salt's mixed in there really good. So the rest of what we're going to do is going to be really easy. So one of the things you want to do, I'm using these silicone mini muffin tins. You can use regular muffin tins, you can use whatever you want, but I'm going to put just a little bit of spray oil in there. You can use anything you want. You can use Pam, you can use duck fat spray, just enough so that they don't stick. I'm using a no-name brand here. And then I'm going to put my, clean up this egg real quick. I like to keep my workspace clean as much as possible. So now all I'm going to do is take a spoon and kind of spoon in my ingredients before I put the eggs in. And you don't want to overfill the cups because you want room for your egg. So maybe about a teaspoon of each. And a little bit of ham. I'm just going to do this one muffin pan so you guys can kind of get the idea. Like I said, maybe about a teaspoon of each product. You don't want it over full because it's going to, when it starts to cook, it's going to actually, since it's got that air in there, it's going to fluff up some. You don't want it overspilling into onto your pan there. Alright, that's it guys. I got this one done. I'm not going to bore you by doing the other one. But, like I said, just try to get as much of the ingredients inside your muffin thing as possible. And that's it. Put this aside for a minute. Okay, I'm going to take my egg mixture, and since I got that little lip there, I'm just going to pour it just enough to get close to the top. Because remember, this is going to fluff up some. So you don't want to overfill it. Just when it gets to the top there, just like that. Try not to spill it, just be careful. There you go. I'm not going to do this whole thing because I don't want to bore you any more than I have to. That's it guys, let me get you a close up just so you can kind of see what they look like. If you see that, that's kind of what you're looking for. Alright, see they got the little bubbles, air bubbles in there, so they're going to poof up a little bit when I cook them. I'm going to do the rest of these, and I'm going to do that pan, and I will be back with you. One of the things I like about these type of cooks is you can cook up a big batch of these. You can just take a day and cook up, as many of these as you want, and stick them in the freezer, and then pop them out whenever you want. Toss them in the microwave or in the Anova Precision Oven to heat them back up for a really quick breakfast on the go. So they work really good for families where don't need to buy these at the store, the pre-made ones. Make them yourself, vacuum seal them up, put them in the freezer, store them, take them out, microwave, or put them in the Anova oven, heat them up, and pop them in your mouth and go. So, all right, let me finish doing this cup, guys. I'm going to show you how I'm going to get the Anova oven going. I'll be back. All right, guys, one of the great things about the Anova Precision Oven is it has this great app and the recipes built into it with the actually stage cooked. So I can go ahead and start the preheat right now, and as soon as that gets up to temp, I will be able to go ahead and put the food in the oven and then hit the start cook. So it makes it really super easy to do that. And here you go now. It's all the way up to temp. I'm going to hit start cook. I toss my egg bites in and ready to go. All right, guys. My oven is up to temp. I just hit the timer to start. And I actually did I'm going to put these on the top rack. Close that up. And it's going to count down 34 minutes. And we will have egg bites at the end. All right, I will be back. All right, guys, the first stage of the cook is done. It's now going to go ahead and brown the top, so it's going to switch over to the top burner to brown them off a little bit. I'm going to show you how we're going to let it do that. It's going to shut off the sous vide mode, I think, and take out the steam, so they won't have to add any more steam, and it's going to crisp up the top. So I'll be right back to show you how that's going to do in the app. All right, guys, we're in the final stage, the browning stage, and I'm just going to hit start cook when it's ready to go, and it's going to crank the temperature up, turning off the sous vide mode and turning off the steam to make them nice and brown. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I thought I'd do a fast forward motion here to show you just how these things cooked up in the browning stage. It's pretty amazing how these things poof up, get nice and brown, and start to bubble. It's really amazing to me how they turned out. Turned out really well. So I'll be right back. All right, all my egg bites are ready, and they smell delicious. Nice crispy crust on top. You saw how they poofed up. Now they've kind of shrunk back down. And that's just what happens when you cook something like this. When the heat kind of dies down, they shrink back into size. So they smell really good as well. Ooh, still hot, but that crispy crust on top, I did put a little bit extra cheese on top, so it's going to give me that little crispy bite when I bite into them. I really got to take a bite though, even though they're hot. Probably burn my mouth. Wow. Still really hot. But, tell you what, that's my nice little Western omelet in a little muffin. So, ham, cheese, onions, peppers, seasoning. Can't go wrong with these, guys. The APO makes it really easy. Like I said, I put off doing egg bites for a long time because I thought I tried it once. It was a pain in the butt. Didn't want to mess with mason jars and all that. You can do them in the Anova Precision Oven. Really super simple. Check it out. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you follow the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. Make sure you follow us on our YouTube channel all the time. And I'll see you again on the next Fire and Water Cooking video.